And I'm recording now. So welcome to our Math 60 video lecture. This is section 6.3. It's got a fancy name, dimensional analysis. I had never heard that until I saw these books, the way they teach it here at Chemeketa. This just means changing units of measurement. All right, so going from feet to inches, or meters to feet, for example. Maybe going from pounds to ounces, maybe going from kilograms to pounds. And so we're changing units of measurement. We could go from minutes to hours, for example. The worksheet for this week on the very back page has those unit conversions. 1 yard is 3 feet, 1 foot is 12 inches, 1 mile is 5,280 feet, etc. That's distances. Here's weights. 1 pound is 16 ounces, etc. And volumes. 1 quart. These are all volumes here. I don't know what capital T, that must be tablespoons. 1 quart is 4 cups, 1 gallon is 4 quarts, etc. Metric system. One of the reasons metric systems used around the world is it's super easy. Everything's a thousands or tenths. Right? None of this 7.48 feet cubed per gallon business. Right? It's 1 meter cubed is 1,000 liters. Super simple. 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. But we often need to convert between one and the other. For example, 1 inch, which is about that long, is 2.54 centimeters. If you're going from pounds, 2.205 pounds is 1 kilogram. Right, and so a sack of flour, maybe it weighs 5 pounds. You could ask, how many kilograms does it weigh? So dimensional analysis is basically a fancy word for changing units of measurement. So let's see how to do it. I think the easiest way is just look at an example. Change, let's say 10 feet into inches. So here's what you do. You take your first quantity, you write it right there, and you say, my units are feet. I don't want units to be feet. I want my units to be inches. I'm going to write inches over there. Well, I have to change from feet to inches, so I'm going to build a ratio where I have inches on top and feet on the bottom. And then I go to my list of units of measurement and I see that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. And to convert, I'm going to multiply these two quantities. I'm going to multiply the 10 feet by the 12 inches per 1 foot. And when I multiply, I'm going to imagine the units are variables so I can cancel them. I'll write it again. 10 feet. I don't want feet, I want inches per foot. So maybe I don't write inches over feet first, but if I know I want inches, I go to my table and I say, aha, there are 12 inches for 1 foot or 1 feet. And now I imagine the units are variables. So there's feet up here, there's feet down there, and they cancel. Just like variables, I can cancel the units. And that leaves me with a math operation, 10 times 12 over 1 inches. And then I do the arithmetic. 10 times 12 is 120, divide by 1, doesn't matter, 120 inches. All right, your turn to practice. Let's convert 32 feet into inches. I'm going to pause the video while we do that, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so let's give that a shot. Start by saying I have 32 feet. I don't want feet, I want inches. So I'm going to find my conversion factor. There are 12 inches in 1 foot or 1 feet. If you just want to keep the word the same, that's okay. This is math, not spelling. And then since I have feet in the top and the bottom, it cancels, and I have 32 times 12 over 1 inches. 32 times 12 is 384, and then dividing by 1, we can just let it go. That's 384 inches. We can go the other way. Let's convert 78 inches into feet. 78 inches is the standard height of a doorway threshold, by the way. So I start with what I know. I have 78 inches. I don't want inches, I want feet. So I'm going to write my conversion factor with the feet on top and the inches on the bottom, because I'm going to be able to cancel the inches units. And then I just remember what that conversion factor is. And in this time, it's 1 foot for every 12 inches. So the 12's on the bottom. And then I notice I have inches on both sides. And when I do that cancellation and I do the math, I have 78 times 1 divided by 12 feet. And so I grab my calculator. Usually you're going to want a decimal. And it's going to be 6.5, right? Yep. Okay, because again, 78 over 12 feet is not very meaningful to humans. So at this point, we want a decimal. It's 6.5 feet. Let's do another example with some different units. Let's convert a 12-pound turkey into kilograms of turkey. LB is pound, like libra in Spanish. So it's basically the Latin. And then in English, we've adopted LB for the units. And so I can start by writing what I know, 12 pounds. And I say, I don't want pounds, I want kilograms. kg is the short for kilograms. So kilograms on top, pounds on bottom, so that I can cancel. And then I go to my conversion. And here it is. 1 kilogram is about 2.205 pounds. So over here, I say 1 kilogram is about 2.205 pounds. And I do that multiplication. If you build it this way, where you match the pieces, I think it's fairly straightforward and it allows you to open it up and do more complicated ones if you build it like this every time. So we're going to do some more complicated ones in a minute. But when I do the pound, the unit cancellation, I get 12 times 1 over 2.205 kilograms, which is what I wanted. I wanted it in kilograms. 12 over 2.205 is about 5.4 kilograms. Canada is an interesting, so Canada is technically on the metric system. All their speeds is kilometers per hour, but most grocery stores still work in pounds and ounces. That's weird. As opposed to Mexico, where it's metric all the way through. I think. I don't know. I've never ordered like sliced ham in Mexico. I've ordered it here where it's like media libra, but there would you say like 100 gramas? Was it gramas? I don't know. I don't know if either. Anyway. So let's just do one metric one because they're almost silly. Let's convert 3 kilometers into meters. So I've got 3 kilometers, and I don't want kilometers, I want meters. So I'm going to do meters over kilometers. And then I look at my conversion chart and I see there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So this might be a place where you eventually don't use the systematic way because it's as simple as taking those 3 kilometers and multiplying it by 1,000. And that's one reason the metric system's so nice, is it just, you're going to add zeros or you're going to take away zeros. Let's do a two-step one, because we can do as many steps as we want. Let's convert 5 feet to centimeters. So we start with what we have, 5 feet. And we don't want feet, we want centimeters. So we go over to our conversion table. And let's see, feet. There's feet, no, that's feet cubed. I don't have any feet going from US to metric. But I do have inches going to centimeters. So I need to do a two-step process. This is a two-step process. First, I convert from feet to inches. So I'm going to do inches per feet. And then I'm going to convert from inches to centimeters. So I'm going to do centimeters per inch because ultimately I want to end up in centimeters. So once I know my unit conversions, right, from feet to inches, from inches to centimeters. Now I fill in the numbers. I know there are 12 inches and 1 foot. And I check my table and I see that there are 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. And I do some unit cancellation. There's feet, cancels with those feet. And now these inches cancel with those inches, and I'm going to be left with centimeters as my only unit, which is what I wanted. Now I gather the numbers 5, 12, and 2.54 with ones on the bottom. So it's going to be 5 times 12 times 2.54 centimeters with a couple of ones multiplied by themselves on the bottom. Right now, it's always going to be ones on the bottom, but in the future, it might not be. So it is a good idea to have those. And you grab your calculator, 5 times 12 times 2.54. 5 times 12 is about, well, according to this, it's 152.4 centimeters. There we go. Just for fun, let's do that a different way. Because maybe part of this is deciding which conversions make your life the easiest. Based on the information I have in my table, if I want to convert 5 feet to centimeters, which we did by going to inches and then to centimeters, I'm going to do this just for fun. I'm going to go feet to yards to meters to centimeters. And I should get the same answer. And this could also be kind of a helpful strategy. Before you start worrying about what those conversions are, you just trace out your thought process. Feet to yards to meters to centimeters. I could go feet to miles to kilometers to centimeters, to meters to centimeters if I wanted. Right? Lots of paths to get me there. Definitely inches to centimeters is the easiest one, but this will work too. So I start with 5 feet and I want to convert to yards. So I'm going to put yards on top and feet on the bottom. And that helps me remember that 1 yard is 3 feet. Right, doing the units before the numbers can help me remember. And then I want to get to meters from yards. And so I check and I have 0.914 meters is 1 yard. And then I want to get eventually to centimeters, and there's 100 centimeters and 1 meter. All right, so this is a 3-step process, but the idea still works. These feet cancel, these yards cancel, these meters cancel, and they leave me with the centimeters, which is what I wanted. So now I'm going to have 5 times 1 times 0.914 times 100 all over 3 times 1 times 1 centimeters. And there's an example of one of my numbers in the bottom is not just the 1. 5 times 1 times 0.914 times 100 all over 3 times 1 times 1 centimeters equals, again, calculator can do this part for you. 5 times the 1 doesn't matter, 0.914 times 100, all divided by 3. 152.33 centimeters. Yeah, not exact because some of my conversion factors were a little different, but basically the same answer is the 152.4. Okay. We can even do conversions that maybe don't make a ton of, like they're not in our table. Let me put it that way. So let's see, I drink 32 ounces of water during a soccer game to stay hydrated. I play 12 games a month. How many gallons of water do I drink at soccer games in a month? Okay. Let's see how we get to this one. Maybe some of this isn't totally conversion. Maybe it's not exactly the one I wanted to do. But we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to start with ounces. Yeah, that's not quite the question. Want and we'll go to gallons, and then we're going to end up at gallons per month. So not really just a dimensional analysis question, but it involves it as part of our answer, which is often what we use this for, is when we want to get convert from one units to the other in order to answer a question. Because gallons, like 32 ounces, I'm not, I mean, that's right. How many gallons is that? How many ounces per month maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, but gallons per month maybe makes more sense. So this is going to be a long chain because I look at my table and I have ounces, but I don't go from ounces to gallons. I go from ounces to cups. And I don't go from cups to gallons. I go from cups to quarts. And then I get to gallons. And then I can do gallons per month. Oh, gallons in a month. Yeah, gallons per month. That's the same idea. Okay. So I'll start with 32 ounces, OZ for ounces. And then I want cups. So I'm going to do cups over ounces. And there's 1 cup and 8 ounces. And then I want quarts. So I'm going to do quarts over cups. And there are 1 quart and 4 cups. And then I'm going to do gallons. So I want gallons per quart. And that is 1 gallon and 4 quarts. And this is going to give me the gallons per game. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Ounces per game. Right? Ounces per game. This is where the dimensional analysis snuck back in. If I drink 32 ounces during a soccer game, that's 32 ounces for every 1 game. And how many games do I have a month? So I can put games here because I want to cancel that out. It was in the bottom, so I'm put it on the top, and a month here. And I have 12 games in 1 month. A long chain of conversions with a lot of units, but everything's going to cancel except the gallons and the months. So here's ounces, those cancel. Here's cups, those cancel. Here's quarts, those cancel, leaving me gallons. And then I had a game, 32 ounces per game on the bottom, but now I have a 12 games per month on the top, and those cancel. So I'm left with gallons and I'm left with months. And I string all the numbers together, 32 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 12. And then I'm going to divide all of that by 1 times 8 times 4 times 4 times 1 gallons per month. This is probably a good idea to do these multiplications before you do the division. So we're going to do 32 times 12 as a multiplication, which was the 384. And then we're going to do the 8 times 4 times 4 times 4, or 8 times 4 times 4, which is 128. 384 gallons every 128 months. That's weird, but we can cancel those again with our calculator. 384 divided by 128 is 3 gallons per. Most of the conversions you'll be practicing are one-step conversions. That one got a little out of hand, but they can sometimes. Now, if I was talking about Gatorade, right? 3 gallons of Gatorade a month, if I know how much Gatorade costs per gallon, I know how much I'm spending on Gatorade, right? So these things can be super useful even if they can get kind of involved. I'm going to show you one more. This is actually a look ahead. There aren't any specific questions about this, but let's convert 96 square feet into square inches. So you could imagine you have a room. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 8 by 12 in terms of feet. 8 feet by 12 feet. And you have to cover it with inch square tiles. All right, so each of these feet have to be covered with all these little tiles. Hard to see the detail, but right, there's going to be a bunch of tiles in each of the square feet. So you might ask, well, how many square inch tiles do I need? This is where the word dimensional analysis comes from, because this is a 2-dimensional conversion. But the process is really similar. We're going to take 96 square feet is feet squared. All right, we could write that as 96 feet squared. But if I'm going to do that, let me go one more step and just write those units as if they're variables. And I'm just going to write them out like that, feet times feet. And now I'm ready for my conversion. I have 96 feet times feet, but I don't want feet times feet. What do I want?
Inches, square inch.
Yeah, which is inches times inches. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do an inches per feet here and another inches per feet there. And that's going to give me my inches times inches. And then I go to my conversion table and I say there's 12 inches in 1 foot and there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So I multiply by 12 and then by 12 again. And if you set up your higher dimensional conversions this way, the process is the exact same. 96 feet times feet, well, the first feet cancels there. The second feet cancels there. And you end up with 96 times 12 times 12 inches squared, or squared inches. $13,824. 13,824 square inches. But the key to all of this is writing down your unit to unit conversions as multiplications. And you just do it however often you need. If you have to go through multiple steps, you just write each of those steps. If you have to go through multiple dimensions, you just write each of those dimensions. All right, that'll end it for today in terms of the lecture.